Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video on the halftime shuffle. I've been wanting to make this for a while just because this is one of those grooves that I definitely couldn't figure out just by listening to, Rosanna or Fool in the Rain a million times. I really had to actually go get some sheet music and figure this out. So maybe if you're not on the level of reading sheet music yet, this should definitely still be something you can follow and get each part worked out, and then you can put them all together and get this flowing pretty good. So first I'm going to show you the basic hand pattern, which is just a triplet pattern. And it's nothing crazy. If you're leading with your right, you're going to want to use this one. This is the sticking pattern for right-handed. And if you're going to be leading with your left, you're going to want to use the opposite of that, which is this pattern. So take your time with those and just pause the video, take a look at those and practice that on a pad and get comfortable with whichever one of those you're going to use. Because what we're going to do is we're going to move that to the hi-hat and the snare, which I'm going to show you first, and I'll do it at a few different tempos so you can follow along and get it down and see exactly how everything works. Then I'm going to show you where to add the actual snare backbeat on beat 3 and how that works with the accent directly after it. And then once we get that feeling good, then we'll add all the kick drum variations, because that's what really separates this and all the different versions of this groove, from Fool in the Rain to Rosanna to the Purdy Shuffle or whatever. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this, and it'll make it a little more easy and more fun, okay? So let's do this. Hopefully the triplets are feeling good and everybody's comfortable with that so far. All we're going to do now is add a snare, a full snare, on beat number 3. All of the snares that we've been playing up to this point in the middle of the triplet, those are all going to be ghosted eventually, which just means that you're going to play them a little softer than this one snare that I'm about to discuss here. So this one beat is going to be a full snare on beat number 3, and the only tricky part here is that there's a ghosted note right after it. So I'm going to circle those here, those two spots in the music, so you see what I'm talking about, the full snare on beat number 3 and the ghost directly after it. So work on that a little bit, and I'll do that for you a couple times too. Here we go. All right, guys, let's add some kick drum to these finally and create some grooves, okay? The first one we're going to do is the Bernard Pretty Pretty Shuffle. The other two I'm going to cover, I consider variations of this. So as with all of these, though, while you're practicing these to the metronome, keep in mind that they might not actually start to really feel and sound like a shuffle until you get around like the 90 to 100 BPM area. So if you're having to practice them really slowly, just hang in there, okay? They'll sound more like a shuffle the more you speed it up, okay? Let's get started. Okay, so next up is my favorite, the Rosanna Shuffle. Rest in peace, Jeff Porcaro. So before I even say anything about this, please check out the video. I'm going to link it below. There's a whole part of this old instructional video that Jeff did back in the day where he elaborates fully on this whole shuffle, how he came up with it, where he stole it from, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I mean, it's the man himself showing you the story behind it, and he demonstrates himself. So definitely check that out as well, okay? He does a better job of it than I would, I'm sure. So, you know, I'm going to demonstrate this just like the others at a few different tempos so you can help lock into it. This is definitely a 2-measure kind of beat instead of just the 1 measure before for the Bernard Pretty Shuffle. The kick drum part changes in the 2nd measure a little bit, so that's the only thing that's going to really make this a little different. And just a quick note, if you're listening to the recording for Rosanna to try to tackle this, in the very beginning, when it's just the drums, he's actually omitting most of the ghost notes for that part. And he really starts to incorporate all of them by the time you get to about, like, I think the pre-chorus or something like that. I think he talks about that in the video I mentioned. So, again, check that out, and let's do this. All right, so here we are at Fool in the Rain. This is also one of my favorite halftime shuffles of all time. The only unique thing about this is the open hi-hat on the last part of the triplet on beat 1. The kick drum pattern doesn't seem too tricky, at least not as tricky as Rosanna in my opinion. And this is also a one measure figure, so if you can do the one measure of the beat and you repeat it, it's pretty much the whole groove. I'm going to include a link in the description for the video of just the audio from Fool in the Rain, just the drum track, and that way you can hear and follow along with John himself and hear all the nuances and magic that he played on this track, okay? I'll play it at a few tempos for you guys so you can lock into it, and I'll top it out at about 130, which is just about the speed of the track, okay? Here we go. Thanks so much for checking out my video, everybody, on this halftime shuffle. I've had some students who have been waiting for this for a while. I didn't forget about you guys. If you did find the video helpful, definitely hit the like and subscribe, and stay tuned. I'll have some more content as soon as I can on anything and everything drumming related. If you have any ideas on something I should cover, definitely drop me a comment below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.